The offense has found something since that second half of the Penn State game. What has the defense found? I mean, it seems like it's found a lot of consistency in a few games.
Yeah, I mean, we keep developing. We keep improving from 1 week to the next. We learn something new about ourselves, something that we can improve on, and how we can get better. And then obviously when the offense is doing well, that puts a little bit more confidence in your step on the defensive side. And if you can play a little bit more aggressive. If something happens, the offense has your back. And, it's awesome to see the offense really taking strides in the last, 6 quarters or so.
I think last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week, Jim said he'd like to have 100 Ronnie Bells. Then he added he'd like 100 of you too, and called you a jackhammer and all the Jim Harbaugh kind of things. What do you, when you hear stuff like that, what do you think?
I mean, it's nice to hear it. As a player, obviously, you like to be supported by your coaches and how you act and what you do. But I mean, our team wouldn't be very good if we had a bunch of 230-pound linebackers out there. So we need some diversity. And obviously, we have a lot better players than me on the defense. So if we just had a bunch of me's, I don't think we'd be very good.
Well, what do a few of you bring to a defense then?
I mean, I think that one of me is all we really need. So I appreciate the comments, but
Throw in a few Cam McGrones too.
Yeah, that would be. Cam's a special athlete and a special player. Really young, improved a lot from last year, and it's going to be amazing to see what he can do going forward. So.
Is he just kind of scratching the surface of how good he can be? Seems like he's getting better and better every week.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting more comfortable in the situation. He's a young guy. I think he's just saying, it doesn't, I'm just going to go out there and play football. And obviously, he's doing very well at that. So I think once he, gets a better understanding of exactly, what he needs to look at and just himself as a football player, in our defense, he'll become better and better as he goes forward. So.
How much do you try to help him with that?
He's very mature as a football player and, as a person. I don't need to help him out very much. I give him some tips every now and again. I don't know if they help him. He might be looking at me like, oh, what the. Yeah. But, I mean, I try and help out as much as I can. But, I don't really know if he needs it. Obviously, you can see, how he's been playing the last few games. So.
How would you describe the way you approach the game, how you play it?
I mean, I try and look at every detail that I can to try and improve my game or try and do better in the game. I try and watch a lot of film. I try and meet with the coaches a lot to iron out literally anything that could happen. And I think that's worked for me. As I've gone throughout the season, I felt I've improved, and I've been able to kind of loosen up my game a little bit and play with a little bit more explosiveness. But.
As you approach the end here, have you thought about legacy your family has left with this program, you and your brothers?
Well, I think that's something to look at when I'm done. Obviously, I'm not done. Creating my story here, and what I have to contribute. I still have a lot to contribute over the next 4 or 5, 6 games. Whatever we can get going forward, and. I'll look back and, I might appreciate or I might, say, oh, well, that was good. But, I don't think it's beneficial to, look forward and say, oh, well, my brothers and me in Michigan. But.
Have you ever talked to them about, how to approach and what to get the most out of here as you approach the finish line?
I've seen them both go through it. I'm a pretty old person. I think I'm like the second oldest on the team. I don't really ask a lot of people for advice anymore. I've been through 4.5 years of football here. I feel like I've experienced a lot, and I feel like I'm pretty experienced in a lot of things. I might ask my brothers some advice when I'm done, but currently I know what I have to do, and I'm looking at my coaches for advice and other players that I respect on the football field. So,
in terms of satisfying defensive performance, how would you rate Saturday's, the Notre Dame game?
Well, I would have liked to. I think they were at 100 yards halfway through the fourth. I would have liked to keep them under or get them under 100 yards. And then obviously they had like a 3-play, 65, 70-yard drive late in the fourth. But, you know, I feel like it was good. I feel like it could have been better. You know, a missed or a questionable PI call that led to a touchdown. That was an interception. I mean, there were some things that, you know, probably should have gone our way more, and that didn't. That, you know, could have led to a possible shutout or, you know, in whatever scenario. But, you know, given how they've performed in the past this year, I feel like we did very well.
You mentioned playing with more explosiveness. What's allowed you to do that this season?
I think that, you know, just not really worrying about the consequences of what I'm doing, as bad as that sounds. I mean, you know, you always play through your responsibilities, but you can't be scared to make a mistake even while you're doing that. You know, you got to play with a little bit of looseness, a little bit of, I don't know what the correct word is, but disregard. And in a way, you know, if you want to make some big plays, sometimes you got to, you know, you always got to go through your job, but you got to, you know, try and extend past, you know, what the coaches expect of you and what you expect of yourself. Try and do something more. So,
Is it more difficult to play with that looseness or fearlessness when you're back in the defense or last line of defense?
I mean, I think it kind of depends on the person you are. You know, there are a lot of people that are willing to take more risks than others, you know, especially when they first get here. But I think as, you know, you become more comfortable in the defense, as you get more defensive reps, you become more comfortable taking, you know, plays that might look risky, but you know that you can make them, or you know that, you know, you have help if you aren't able to make it. So
The fourth down pass breakup, can you take us through the play? You're pretty fired up after that.
Well, I mean, it happened pretty fast. So they ran a wheel route 2 plays before that to the same running back, I'm pretty sure, and he caught it for like an 8-yard pass. And then, you know, he motioned out of the backfield. I had him man-to-man, obviously. So I felt that, you know, since they were able to complete the pass 2 plays earlier, 2 or 3 plays earlier, I felt like they were going to come back to him. So obviously, you know, they did that, and I was in, you know, a good position, and I was able to make the play. So, I mean, it's difficult to talk about. I was kind of standing up looking for if there was a flag or not, and then I celebrated. So I was just happy that we were able to get off the field and able to get the stop.
How hard is it to diagnose those plays, you know, on the spot? Those bang plays, how hard is it to sort of see and just get to it?
You know, that obviously you don't practice. Sometimes you don't practice some of the plays that the offense runs. You know, they introduce new things into the game to try and trip you up. You know, you just got to play through your responsibilities and your technique, you know, what you've gone through the entire season. You know, I've seen plays like that earlier in the season in camp and spring ball, stuff like that. You know, I might not have seen it during the week, but you just got to kind of retain, you know, all the experience that you've had, and, you know, you just got to you got to play through your responsibilities and make the play when you're able to.
Coming off an emotional win over a rival in Notre Dame, I mean, how much emphasis is there on avoiding a letdown against a Maryland team that's struggled in recent weeks?
You know, I don't think there's any, you know, pressure to, you know, let down. I think that we're just looking to perform to our best capabilities. You know, we're not saying, you know, this Maryland team might have struggled in the recent past, but obviously, you know, early in the season they were performing very well. You know, they were seen as one of the best offenses in the country, and obviously they have that type of potential. So, you know, we need to play up to our full capabilities as a defense and as an offense to, you know, beat every team on our schedule, we feel.
You've seen a few of these, you've been a part of a few of these teams. What is the key to making these last 4 or 5 weeks count in terms of improving as a team?
I think that it's, you know, not being complacent and understanding that, you know, even though your body is kind of wearing down towards the end of the season, that, you know, you just need to play at a higher level. You know, you need to play a little bit more mentally tough. And, you know, although your ankle, your wrist, your shoulder, your neck, you know, might be sore, that, I mean, losing a game hurts a lot more than dealing with those sort of knick-knack kind of injuries. So,
Jordan, knowing what you and your teammates put in and other athletes on campus, what they do to play their sports with the NCAA, and now this name and image likeness is not going to affect you, but do you think it's a fair thing going forward for athletes?
I mean, you know, I'm in a financial situation where I don't really need to worry about stuff like that. which I'm thankful for. For some other people, you know, it would probably have a bigger effect and would probably benefit them. I mean, obviously, it's pretty ambiguous what they mean by profit off of their likenesses now. You know, there's a lot of details that, you know, we don't know. So it's difficult to really comment about how that would affect players going forward, or, you know, what I really think about it, because I mean, I don't really know much about it at the moment.
I think in general terms, Livert earlier said, you know, athletes do deserve a piece of the pie in general terms. And when you see the big contracts, the the television contracts and the what the conferences and schools are making.
I mean, you know, we work hard. I'm not saying that, you know, we deserve more, but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, you know, it's difficult to comment. Like I said, I mean, I don't really know what the NCAA is really proposing. I mean, just saying that we're going to get money based off of our likeness is pretty ambiguous. And I mean, do I feel like some people need more possibly to, you know, sustain like a good lifestyle? I mean, probably, yeah. But you know, it's difficult for me to say at this moment. So.
Do you have any specific ideas for maybe what you think the NCAA should do? You said it's ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm getting this thrown at me at the moment, so you know, I can't, and I'm not a policy expert, so you know, obviously whatever they come up with is going to be extremely well thought through, and you know, hopefully is looking at you know, looking to be beneficial for every party involved in college athletics, and you know, I'm just hoping that it turns out all right, because I know people have been lobbying for this for a while. So I just hope that, you know, everyone is satisfied with the result.
From your perspective, what's it like to see the the offense evolve during your time, you know, at Michigan? You know, just when you've gone good on good in practice.
Yeah. Can you explain what you mean?
Just to evolve, like the style and
oh yeah.
And
I mean, obviously, when I first got here, it was you know, a more traditional two-back offense, fullback, all that, and you know, we had success with that in moments, and I'm not saying that that's a bad style of offense, but you know, the RPO type of offense, you know, quarterback runs, puts the defense in a lot of binds, and you know, to see them perform the way that they've performed over the last, you know, game and a half. You know, it's awesome, and you know, I'm really happy for the offense, and I'm really happy for our team going forward. So.
Do you feel like that in turn prepares you, you know, even defensively? I mean, for stuff that you commonly now see, and you know, with other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, but you know, playing with them through camp and through the spring and through the season, when we go, you know, Michigan versus Michigan, you know, 1s on 2s or 2s on 1s or 1s on 1s, you know, it helps us when we're seeing those plays. We're seeing the same plays that we're probably going to see in the game, or similar plays. And, you know, when you have an offense with a lot of people that are fast, you know, like the teams that we're going to be facing, you know, we're getting a lot of good work in against great players. So, you know,